Well, good afternoon. And as we continue on, and what was thought was a continuation of issues Turner syndrome sublime, better known as Brother Mark Turner syndrome, butterflies in life. Today, I want to answer a question that actually came up in the chat, and then also wanted to talk about gossip and slander because that also came up in recent discussions. So I'm gonna just answer some just a brief question. Then I'm gonna go into what gossip slander isn't, how it's used as a what's called a thought-stopping cliche. I'll explain that, and then what it really is, and then examples, and then something to think. As I say, always the best thing to do with these things is to learn to be educated, and to learn, exactly what's going on. So the first question that came up on a TS chat says, "Can't you talk about TS related issues? I mean, why do you always have to bring up the drama?" I think that's a great question, and and the topic it is so wearisome, and it's like I wish that there were things. I mean, I like to talk about NVLD. I'd like to talk about depression. I like to talk about how about butterflies who can thrive and what they can do to thrive, and what I can do to be really encouraging. But unfortunately, we've got an issue of bullying and drama, and that is a Turner syndrome issue. If butterflies are getting bullied, and they're suffering from it, and they're having trouble coping with it, and they're having trouble coping physically or emotionally, or it's causing anxiety. That therefore, and it's involving butterflies. Therefore, it's a Turner syndrome issue. I mean, the fact that it's coming from a relative outsider, it doesn't change the facts. But if it's involving butterflies, it's a Turner syndrome issue. Yeah, the funny thing is actually the woman that posed the question is a newly diagnosed woman, and I've heard little bits and pieces of her story, and I've really listened. I would love to bring her on the channel and interview her and see what story she has, what words of encouragement that she has. But there's one problem: she would get attacked by the bullies, and I don't feel right in doing it. I wouldn't. So that's so it is an issue. It's not a comfortable issue, but I've talked to Turner syndrome women and said, yeah, it's there. Yeah, we know. We're not sure what to do about it, but yeah, it's there. But the other thing I want to devote time on is is hold on a sec. A little too much Tchaikovsky there. Okay. All right. But gossip and slander is the oldest narcissistic game in the book. Also, abusive religious groups have been using it for centuries. Also, pay real attention to the double standard when somebody is accusing somebody of being a gossip and a slanderer. Really key on that one. And so what you're hearing is actually what's called a thought-stopping cliche. And when you hear a thought-stopping cliche or a thought-terminating cliche, the terms are the same. It's some term that shuts one off to really critically think and to really assess the facts. Saying somebody is a slanderer or a slanderer of the brethren or a slanderer or a gossip is one of the oldest tricks in the book. But let me read what a thought-stopping cliche is. This is actually by Terence Gorski, and I think I read. I think I know him, not personally, but in the area of recovery of spiritual abuse, and then he's got experiences in culture. I know him in other recovery communities, but he's got a really good synopsis of what a thought stopping cliche or thought terminating cliche. He uses thought terminating, but the terms are one and the same. So let me read on. A thought terminating cliche is something that we memorize and use automatically that keeps us from thinking clearly and deeply about something. But like, screw it, I don't need this now. But that's what I don't have time for this. But the key to understanding a thought stopping cliche is to recognize that we don't understand what it means, and it turns off our thought process when we're confronting a problem that we really need to think through. Now, again, that's emphasis is mine. As a result, we become trapped using this thought termination cliches to shut down our mind whenever we start thinking about something that makes us feel uncomfortable, but that we need to confront in order to grow in our recovery. I mean, there's that old saying: "Is you're only as sick as your secrets." And obviously, when you have an elephant in the room, as you've looked in my video, it's kind of hard to hide an elephant in the room, especially when you have to clean up after one. But getting back to the article, we need to recognize the difference between thought terminating cliches that stop us from thinking about issues we need, and healthy thought stopping commands that we need to turn off habitual irrational thinking, ruminations, resentments. So, in my definition of a thought-stopping cliche printed above, it says clearly something that we memorize, start to use automatically, that keeps us from thinking clearly and deeply about something. And he makes a difference between a thought-stopping cliche and an affirmation. Affirmations are wonderful, but thought-stopping cliches are not. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm trying to, hopefully they aren't heavy hitters or third rails, and I'm trying to get a whole variety from both sides of the political spectrum, if you will. But here's some thought-stopping cliches. You're a Republican. You're a liberal. You're a secular humanist. You're an Edomite. You're a jerk. You're an idiot. You don't have your eyes on Jesus, or you're a gossip or slanderer. Or my favorite one of all, when I was actually confronting the person that one of the main perpetrators, trying to confront her on the abuse and the effect that was having. I mean, there was just out lies. Her response: "Get behind me, Satan." Yeah, it's like, as soon as they say that, shut down city. I'm not thinking about it. You're satanic, and that's it. And that's what it shuts one's mind off. So saying that you're a slanderer and a gossip is that exact same shutdown. And then one should just walk away and give up. Well, I'm a little hip to the tricks of gossip and slander because I was loosely involved in a religious group that would shut down their critics with it. And they would say, "Oh, you're a gossip, you're a slanderer of the brethren," while the leader was getting away with crooked business deals. There were arranged marriages, and the students were giving up their college careers in the name of the group, and the list goes on ad nauseum. See the double standard? They'll use that as a defense mechanism, but supposedly it gives them carte blanche endorsement to get away with anything. So, as I say, be careful of the double standard when you hear somebody being a gossip and a slanderer. Real tricky. And I mean, at this point, Turner syndrome community bullies have been using to credit those who have had legitimate questions and concerns. And anybody happens to be a friend of mine, it's not just me, but it's other friends of mine, other butterflies, who have gotten attacked. So but now, since I pretty much set my boundaries, now they're turning around going after other people. So yes, is this a Turner syndrome related issue? If butterflies are getting hurt, and they're suffering emotional, psychological damage, and they're having trouble trying to cope, yes, that's a Turner syndrome issue. I mean, the fact it's coming from an outsider, and it's still a Turner syndrome issue. In the Emperor's New Clothes, it wasn't somebody in the king's cabinet that recognized that the emperor had nothing, was the emperor, it was taken for a ride. It was a little boy who said, "Sire, you're naked." So now that we know what it isn't, let's look at let's look at the definitions of what gossip is, and then let's let's see if there were any examples. Now I got this off of just quoting from Google, and I believe they're quoting from the Oxford English Dictionary. So we'll use them. Gossip, noun, casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. My wife and I are not married. My mom wears army boots from Des Moines. Well, that's mine, but hey, what can I say? It's good. It was a good gag line in its times. I'm this. I'm that. Even though, and I think a lot of that, if you go back to liar, liar, butterfly wings on fire, oops. But that's what gossip is. And one thing about narcissists is they won't be. You can't pin them down. They won't be, and they won't be accountable. And the two original perpetrators were asked on 3 times to come in for formal reconciliation. They've refused. Now, the other thing too is I may have my wife coming in, so I don't think she's going to be back from the store that fast. But we digress. But okay, anyway, here's some other synonyms: tattletale, rumors, whisperers, tidbits, idle talk, hearsay, malicious gossip, smear campaign. What's some others? Mudslinging, scuttlebutt, and I love that the source. What's the opposite of gossip? That's facts. The truth. Actually, I would go one step further and say accountability. And one thing about narcissists, and this is why I say to a lot of butterflies, you're not going to win with this one. The best thing I can recommend to butterflies: take care of yourself. Get yourself in safe communities. Now, maybe there are going to be some brave butterflies who have just had up the hair and they're going to say, "No, I'm done. I'm going to tell my story." And I would applaud anybody who has been bullied to have the courage to come forward and start telling their stories, because the telling those stories of what's been happening is going to create greater awareness. So now let's look at the word slander. Now, in the Bible, in the New Testament Greek, slander, the word there is, the word for slander is diablos, and it means of the devil. That's where we get the word diabolical. So it's literally evil accusation. Now let's look at the Oxford Dictionary. Okay, slander: an action or crime involving a false-spoken person damaging to a person's reputation. Defamation: character. These are some synonyms: character assassination, misrepresentative of character. Malicious gossip, muckraking, vilification, insults, slights. And the opposite, they say, is acclamation and praise. I'm not sure on that one, but to slander, which is the verb, is to make damaging statements about someone that they're accused of, about someone. So Clearly the documentation is I was, victim of slander. It's serious enough in the Christian church that that's grounds for excommunication. What the original perpetrators won't tell you is that they were reported not only to their pastor, but to the district superintendent of the church they were employed in, and to the board of discipline in their denomination. Clearly, I showed documentation of who those two women were involved with, and what they were doing. Clearly, I documented, showed the connections of the death threats. Well, as an employer and as a pastor that's expecting their employees as well as their staff and members to have a certain Christian standard, that's obviously major failure. I doubt very much that they're going to be employable. Conversely, in the church where we're members, it's been officially known that if they ever step foot in their denomination, they're going to be looking at disciplinary hearing. It's for the purpose of reconciliation, but they don't want to be reconciled. Then, according to the church's book of discipline, then there would be a hearing for excommunication. Whose fault was that? Think about that for a second. Whose fault was it? So today we know what. So today, yes, the bullying is a Turner syndrome issue. You may not like the fact that it's coming from me, but I've talked to enough women that they're aware of it. They're not too sure what to do. Some are anxious, some are angry. So it's there. And when the Turner syndrome accusations say, "Oh, we don't have a problem," and clearly when we're having a problem, I've already given kind of examples. There was a woman and her mom. The butterfly was, I have to be real careful here, but was battling a life-threatening condition, and she and her mom had to go into hiding because of the abuse. Another butterfly was aware of the victimized narcissist, and said, "Yeah, she has a really convincing argument. A lot of people get drawn into it." That was another comment I've heard. That same person said, "This situation is a national day of mourning for the Turner syndrome community." I've already talked about the confidential anonymous support group that was attacked by one of the bullies. And yes, two women had some very serious psychological harm, and they felt shamed, and they felt that was all their fault. And I see that same demeanor in Amy's video, which she took down. That's okay, and I don't blame her. And I saw that same tone of demeanor with the other butterfly that put up a YouTube video, which she understandably took down. But she also felt a lot of shame because of the bullying. That's the narcissistic's game. And you have to kind of go, is this doing the Turner syndrome community any good? We had a case where a pastor was threatened by a bully. As a direct result, a ministry, a potentially thriving ministry to Turner syndrome, a very successful one online, was shut down by the church. Another woman was viciously attacked on a chat group, also by the bullies. And the ironic thing is, she's not even a butterfly. She just happened to stumble. She just was surfing the web and stumbled upon it, and all of a sudden she says, "What am I doing? Why am I getting attacked? What did I do wrong?" Narcissists don't care. They like to see people suffer. The question I would have to pose is that, does that give the Turner syndrome community integrity? Very hard questions. Ultimately, the best solution is accountability and to call the people accountable. But unfortunately, the reality is they're not going to be held accountable. unless a lot of people speak, a lot of people, speak up. So, no easy answers. But as I say, I would love to put this new Turner syndrome butterfly who's just come to terms with the condition on my channel. I'd love to interview her, but I can't do it because I know she's going to get attacked. And then the evidence is it's there. And then also I think she fell for the oldest trick of my engaging gossip and slander. Have I? Look up the dictionary definition. As always, just some random thoughts on the topic as you like. As always, take what you like, leave the rest. And then just a concluding thought. Some people are not going to see it, and that's okay. I get it. And some, it's going to be like I'm speaking Japanese, and I might have Japanese characters or subtitles below at the bottom of the YouTube page. Some are going to say, "Yeah, I think you're on some," and some are already painfully aware of it. But it's like, again, take what you like, leave the rest, and I'll talk to you later.